Hello, hi, welcome to my booktube channel. My name is Rachel and today I figured I would kick off my channel with the good old booktube newcomer tag. So I hope that you'll stick around, we can get to know each other, and that you'll come join me on this lovely YouTube journey. Without further ado, let's get into some questions. So I have the questions on my phone. I'll be reading off them. That's my dog Frank. And I didn't pre-script this. We're just gonna come off the cuff. I've been kind of nervous to do this, so the best way to do it is just rip the band-aid off, right? So we are just gonna get started. The first question is why I started this channel, and we're gonna dive into that and the rest of these questions, but I figured I'd introduce myself first. So hi, my name is Rachel. I already have a YouTube channel, rachelellenrose, which is more centered on makeup and fashion, which is why my channel is named Rachel Ellen Reads. I thought that was a fun play on my initials. But I am 32 years old. I love YouTube. I love the community built around YouTube, and I think that's kind of like who I am. Oh, I'm also very open about my neurodivergence. So I was diagnosed last year with autism. It's been a wild journey. I talk about that because it is how my brain is wired and gives a little bit of perspective and context on how I approach certain things. So we'll talk about that a little bit, but that's kind of like who I am. And I think that provides a little context when we get into some of these answers. So the first one is, why did I start this channel? I started this channel because, like a lot of people who do this tag, and I've watched so many videos of these, and I do want to do some shout outs to my favorite channels who have done this tag. Reading, I'm so passionate about. I've always loved reading. I love connecting with people about reading, and as I've been reignited into more fiction reading in the past year and a half, I need to connect with people. I need to talk about these books. I need to talk about everything that these books give me, applying them to my life, my ideas about them, and just memes about them I want to share. And I don't have a lot of people in my day-to-day life who read these types of books. Hence, I figured I'd come to the internet and make some friends and talk about these books. And I also, as I mentioned on my makeup channel, I have always talked about books, sometimes in my monthly favorites videos, and then also in Get Ready With Me's recently, because the books were so good I could not share them. And so a couple of comments, and I only needed one to be fair, were like, I would love for you to talk more about books. Done. Do you know what I mean? I'm so happy to be here to talk about books and all the book things. So that is why I started my channel. Number 2 is, what is unique about this channel? I don't love this question because I'm not one that's great at like the elevator sales pitch about myself. I think what I can bring that's unique to the table is just my genuine authenticity and my perspective. Everybody's perspective is different, so obviously that would be unique to me. But I also think what I would love to do is kind of carve my own path, in the sense that I might not be the person who has read 200 books in a year, and I'm not going to be the person who's hauling books all of the time. But what I want to be is someone who just gets completely lost in a book, applies that in all of the possible ways, and shares that with you. So like, I already would love to do outfit videos inspired by my favorite main characters, or just characters in general. I would love to do some challenges that some of my favorite characters go through in different facets, whether it's physical training or creative journey. I want this to be a place where I can express my creativity, because I'm missing that. I'm missing that in my day-to-day life sometimes. And one way that I've reconnected with that part of myself is through reading fiction. And I can't wait to document it and share it with you, and hopefully get ideas from you and idea sharing. I really hope that it's unique in that way, and that our community even grows to be unique in the things that we share with each other. And it's a safe place. I want it to be a safe place. I do my best to uphold that in my main channel, in my regular life, in my work life, and I want this to be a safe place too. So I hope that it would be nice if that wasn't unique, but if that is unique, then this is the place for you. It's not a place of judgment or one way is the right way. I'm never going to be able to judge that. I think that's something else that I can bring that's a little unique. Sometimes I think we get these opinion pieces on the internet, which are great, and I love them. I watch them, I take them in. But I'm never going to be someone who's going to tell you this is the right way and the only way. I'm always open to new perspectives, new ideas, and it's always going to be welcome here on my channel. So I think that that is a roundabout way of telling you what I think is going to be unique. All right, number 3, what am I excited about for this channel? A lot of things, but I think the first being expressing my creativity that we just talked about, and then 2, making book friends. Like, I think you can see the genuine excitement on my face. I don't get this way very often, but I'm like giddy just thinking about it. And I've already talked to some other creators who have done this tag recently, and I'm like, I have book friends. I'm so excited. All right. Number 4 is, why do you love reading? I love reading for a lot of different reasons, but I think 2 of the most important are coming to mind. One is I have a very active mind. It almost needs like a tough workout at the end of the day for me to tire my brain out enough to let me rest and be peaceful. And so I have found that reading, especially imaginative fiction, at the end of my day, it really helps my brain kind of tire out and unwind, and it's become my number 1 coping mechanism, and what I think is a very healthy coping mechanism. And then there's 3 reasons. The second one is that I have always had a massive imagination. Again, probably why is because my brain is so busy, but even as a small kid, I imagined entire worlds. Forget an imaginary best friend. We had an amusement park in my world, and I just love imagination so much. It's limitless, it's fun, and I love getting a peek into an author's imagination. It astounds me sometimes how well worlds can be built in fantasy, and the imagination gets me. But then the third one is I'm infinitely curious, and I've always been very precocious in that way as a small child, as an adult, as I am now. And I just have to know the things. And that takes me into a lot of different genres and books, which I know is a question coming up, but I just love to learn, and I think that you can learn from any book, and I love to learn and apply as well. So what is there not to love about reading? Do you know what I mean? I've always been a book goblin, a book dragon, all of the things, bookworm, all of it. That has been me my whole life. All right, the next question is, what are some challenges that I think I will face with my channel? Perfectionism. I am challenged very toughly with that, even on my main channel. And it's just like today, I'm already nervous that I'm not giving like the best responses or the perfect responses. And I think that where we're at in social media, it's easy to get caught up in wanting to show the perfected thing or say the absolute right thing. But if I wait to do that, I will never be able to create, and I need this creative energy to flow out of me. And I love the process of YouTube, whether it's filming, planning ideas for filming, editing, all of it. I love it. And then I just love commenting with you guys as well. So if I let perfectionism get in the way, I just won't ever post. So I think this channel is going to be a place where it's not going to be a perfectly polished video. It's not going to be a perfectly polished life. And I do think that from what I've seen, the BookTube community is very welcoming of that. And it's it's very refreshing in social media to see that type of thing be celebrated, and I am more than happy to open up my experience perspective in my life. It's just not going to be picture perfect. All right, when did I start reading? I don't know what number we're on, but when did I start reading? I started reading really young. Accelerated Reader was my jam in school. If you guys had that, the Scholastic Book Fair was my jam. I was reading as much as I possibly could. It was just a really great way for me to escape, and escapism and coping mechanisms. Childhood was kind of rough for me in a lot of ways, and I think a lot of that can be linked back to being autistic and not having a clue that that was what was going on. And also I had that overactive imagination, so my brain was just always wanting more and more and loved the stories. And I think like one of my earliest reading memories, I don't remember like exactly when I started reading. I know that I was very young because my family is readers as well. But I remember reading The Scarlet Letter in like third grade, I think, because it was a lot of accelerated reader points, and I just thinking back to that, and it was boring to me then, but I think I ended up liking it somewhat. But I was just always grabbing books like that, and also just like the very imaginative fantasy books as a kid. Yeah, I've always loved reading as far back as I can remember. I'm really thankful that my family did put an emphasis on reading because I think it got me through quite a lot of my young childhood. What are my favorite genres? Okay, so I'm not super picky, and I go through, I hate saying the word eras because it's like I'm in my blank era is like all the rage, but I do think my reading comes in eras, and I might be really into historical fiction for a period of time. I might be into epic poetry for a period of time, and then I might be into nonfiction nutrition or nonfiction hormones, or not. Like, it's very driven by what's going on in my life. And I will tell you, at this current moment, I love all genres, but my very favorite right now is fantasy, whether it's high fantasy, romantasy, or YA. I love it. Give it all to me. The magic, the fae, the dragons, all of it. Just, I love all of it. And then I also have always loved thrillers, and I still will dabble in them kind of back and forth in between fantasy, but right now it's been heavy on the fantasy. And what else? I like romance, but I think that that's probably the one that I have the least amount of experience in. And I would love to kind of get into more cozy books, because I don't know that I've really read any cozy things that just hit the spot and I wanted to keep doing, but I know that I will be craving that come fall and winter. So yeah, let me know your favorite romance and your favorite cozy things. Also, I'm not against a bit of smut, you know what I mean? Just a little bit. Nothing too crazy. I'm like a medium spice level, you know what I mean? I love me some spice, but like medium. Yeah. But that said, the next question is, what are my favorite books? I didn't bring my box set up with me, honestly, because I'm a little lazy. It's been a long day, but my very favorite series of all time is Throne of Glass. And I know that Sarah J. Maas is very popular on the internet now, and a lot of people have a lot to say about it, but you cannot deny that Sarah J. Maas reinvigorated a whole group of readers who needed that, like, sink your teeth into series, strong female main character, kick some butt, wonderful world building, a large ensemble cast. And the way I was talking to another booktube friend, also named Rachel, also a Virgo, who I want to give a shout out at the end of this video because she is incredible. We were talking, and the way that Sarah J. Maas writes characters, you just instantly fall in love, and the character development is there, and the world building is there, and If you have read ACOTAR and you really love it, please read Throne of Glass. If you haven't read any Sarah J. Maas, please read Throne of Glass. I just got my friend to read it. She loved it, and she devoured that series just like I did. And now my husband is reading it, and he's on the Heir of Fire book, and he's really enjoying it too. So if you like Harry Potter, if you just need to get re-excited about reading in general, Throne of Glass all day. But then I grabbed some of my favorite books, and this will probably give you kind of an idea of what I am about. So I'll start with one of my oldest favorites, and it's actually one of my older books as well, Alice in Wonderland by Lewis C. Carroll. If you have not read Alice in Wonderland, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It is very different from the, is it 1950s or 1960s Disney cartoon. Love that cartoon, love the remakes of Alice in Wonderland, but the book is so much more. And this one is from the 70s, from Whitman Classics, and I just love this book so much. I got this when I was a young kid. Up until this point, this was the only book that I had read multiple times, other than one other book that I have in my pile, but I've read this so many times, the spine is starting to give out. There's some really cool illustrations in this book as well. It's just such a trip. And this also has Through the Looking Glass, so it's a 2-in-1. I love this. I would love to get some more special editions of this book. I highly recommend, if you like fantasy, to read this. It's been a while since I read it, but it was probably one of the early fantasy books that I read that just stuck with me, and I've continued to love. And I just love this 1970s version. It's so cute. So then another one that has stayed with me since I first learned and read excerpts of this in high school is my man, Homer. Okay, I love Greek and Roman mythology. I love anything that is based on it. I know that it's popular to do retellings. I don't know if I love those as much because I'm very into my Greek and Roman mythology, and it's hard for me to reimagine things that I've learned because I actually took classes in college on Greek and Roman mythology. But I have the Essential Homer here because I love all of the tales so very much. And this one has the Iliad and the Odyssey, and then I also love my man Virgil with the Aeneid. So of these, I love all of them. They're my favorites. But if I had to pick one between the Odyssey, the Iliad, and the Aeneid, it's going to be the Odyssey all day, every day. And I need to know why they have not made a film adaptation of the Odyssey since 1997. And before that, it was like 1950 or something. So I feel like that's such a missed opportunity. Netflix, Hulu, whoever, call me, we can chat. The Odyssey would be fantastic as a film or series adaptation. Also, if you're looking for a chuckle, you should watch the 1957 or 67 trailer of Ulysses, which is the story of the Odyssey. It is quite entertaining, but these are some of my favorite books as well. Then getting in, I have one last fiction book that I wanted to talk about, which is my favorite romance of all time. And I'm like praying that it's not problematic because it has been a few years since I read this, but I have even created just books of quotes after this particular book. And I bought this book a long time ago, and it's just an absolutely heart-wrenching, deep, deep love, beautifully written words, and it is about World War II. It is Always With Me by Margaret Nichols. The cover, there you go. The cover is so good, but it is a stunning book without the dust jacket, and I have always loved having it on my shelf. And some of the quotes from this book, I have always thought about them. and I don't have it annotated, and I don't know that I have the notebook where I wrote them down, but the way that the author wrote certain things just was really touching, and I loved it so much. So I know I have the romance in me. I just need to find good ones. I love a deep romance. And then I have a few kind of nonfiction books. So if you're into astrology, You Were Born for This by Channing Nicholas, is the best to get your bearings about astrology. She breaks it down in a really digestible way. I love that book. I reference that book when I'm thinking about astrology. And then I also have these books because I wish someone would have given me these books when I was a younger girl. If you are a woman or someone who menstruates, Women Code by Alyssa Vitti, I think is how you say it, is excellent to teach you about hormones. She is also on Instagram and super, super helpful. She has a company called Flow Living, but then also the Period Repair Manual by Laura Bryden. I think there's even been multiple editions of this. I still reference this book all of the time for hormones. I know I will be referencing it when I get into perimenopause and menopause. I would be remiss not to mention these because these helped me understand the human body and the female hormones and all of that. And I wish I would have had these earlier in life. And then last but not least, I have The Evolution of a Corporate Idealist. This is by Christine Bader. It is excellent. Again, it's been a little while since I have read this, but she worked at BP, and this is her story about how it feels to push for better and safer practices. I read this book when I was working in manufacturing and doing labor security and safety audits of our factories, and I felt so much fulfillment out of that role, and this was a nice kind of peek into how crazy some of it can be. And just if you aren't already aware of some of the stuff that corporations get into, this is a good little starter. I read this back when I first started in my job in 2013 out of school, and it was a good book. I liked it. But yeah, those are my favorite books for now. I think if I think of any, I'll throw in a clip, but that's my favorite books. We can get into more books because I have many more, which brings me into what does my book collection look like and how do I organize my books. So I'll insert a clip. I'm trying to build out my own kind of mini library downstairs, and the shelves are filled with my books, my husband's books, and then some glassware that I collected from my hometown. There was a glass manufacturer there back in the day. And then also our bourbon collection because we're a bourbon household. But I keep kind of like the things that I've read and I don't really need to be pulling up too much. And then also in my office, if I scoot over, my TBR is kind of on this credenza in my office. And then I'll insert another clip. I keep books that I reference a lot or books that I are overflowing my TBR and I'm not ready to read them just yet. Those are in my office closet. Yeah, books, books, books. I'm also trying to find all of the books from my mother's house because I know I have like all of the Sarah Dessen books I read and Twilight and all of those. I would love to get my hands on those. Harry Potter, all of that. So that's where I store my books. I have never wanted anything more in my life than a massive library like Belle and having the ladder to swing from, and I'm not giving up on that dream yet, but the library I'm building is not going to be quite to that level yet, but we'll get there one day. But then where do I read? Sometimes I read in my office chair. It's pretty comfortable. I also will read in my husband's office where we have a nice leather recliner. I pretty much will read anywhere. I have a beanbag in the library that I'll read in, but where I get the majority of my reading done is at night in bed. And maybe I'll insert a picture. I do have the Kindle arm that comes up to the side of my bed and the remote so I can lay in my bed, burritoed up in my blanket and just read until I fall asleep. It just helps me get into sleep more than anything else that I've tried, regardless of like healthy sleep hygiene. It just really helps my brain shut off. So that's where I read the majority of the time. But I will read anywhere, at any time, as long as I have at least a half an hour that I can really dive into a book, because I do not like to be brought in and out of focusing on what I'm reading. My brain is like, please stop doing that. We need to focus. Please. All right, and then the last question number 12 is, what videos can you expect? So this one I did jot a couple of things down. So I would love to start getting into vlogs. This is something that I've toyed with over on my main channel, and this is going to require me to learn some new editing techniques, and I'm hoping that towards the end of the summer I'll be able to free up some time to really dive in to learn those. So would love to do some vlogs, whether it's like a reading vlog, book inspired vlog. I have ideas of what I want to show in that sense, and it's just going to take some time to learn. But outside of that, I would love to do outfits inspired by characters, like a week of outfits inspired by Aileen from Thread of Glass or something like that. I would also love to do like a quarterly or a monthly book recap, probably quarterly, and then maybe per month I'll break out like a favorite book to dive deep in. And then I would love to do monthly favorites of like cozy things, book related things, what I'm doing. I saw someone on TikTok does like a weekly report, and there's like reading, eating, I forget the A, but it goes, or no, reading, eating, playing. I don't know what the O is, the R, or the T, but I would love to do that, but like a monthly version of that. Because I do want to share things that I don't want this to be kind of like, consume this, you need to buy this. I just want to share the experience and the fun of it all, you know? And then also book discussions and reviews, how I apply books and learnings from books to real life, how I let myself get lost in the imagination of it all, and TBR sharing. I would love to be able to give recommendations, but for the most part, I really want to receive recommendations. So let me know your favorite books that you think I should start, and also that romance. I want to get into romance a little bit more, but I need help with what authors do you think after this video are my vibe? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, those are the questions. I kind of want to just take a moment and say thank you so much if you've been sticking around. I haven't been this excited to talk about a topic in a really long time. And as much as makeup excites me, as much as fashion excites me, and I love it, and that has been one of my special interests since I was a small kid, so has reading, and it feels so good to like be excited about it and know that there are people who are just as excited, who want to share this. And I want to take this opportunity to just talk about a few of the creators that I saw recently do this tag that I think you absolutely should go follow, which is, I have Nikel's Nook. She just seems like such a sweet soul and is not interested in the competition of reading that's happening on social media, and just is one of the people that are just here to share their love and experience of reading. And I think you absolutely should go check out that channel, as well as Becoming Laulu, which she goes by Lala, and she puts an emphasis on the application of books. So she's like reading to retain and apply, and I think that that's absolutely wonderful. And although I might be doing that a little bit more lightheartedly with some of the fantasies, there's still, that is Frank, my Brussels Griffon, and he'll be around. But as much as I read kind of fiction, there's still things that can be applied from that, right? And I think that Lala also sees that, and I just loved her energy in her video, so check her channel out. And then Erin Reads, I love her style. I absolutely love her style. I love her creativity and her purpose of being creative and expressing creativity. She is also autistic like I am, so I'm hoping to connect with her on that, because it's really nice for me to connect with other neurodivergent people, especially late diagnosed, because we're going through a similar kind of like, whoa, I saw my life this way, and it's actually a different lens that I need to be looking through. So I'm hoping to connect with her. And then last but certainly not least is reading with Rach. I watched her video and it was like the final, like, yes, you need to do this. Yes, you can do this. And yes, there is a community of creators here that have the same values and approach to not just reading, but building communities and life. And I reached out to her and she was so, so kind. And it just showed me that this is where I need to be and this is what I need to be doing. And I'm just so thankful to have the opportunity to do this, and also thankful for you being here and participating. And Rach is, first of all, another Rachel, second of all, another Virgo, second or third of all, neurodivergent. And her, listening to her booktube video was like, she's in my brain, and now I don't know what to say in my video because it's been said. And I just think all of these creators are absolutely worth a follow. I can't wait to continue following their channels. It's been an absolute pleasure so far. And I'm rambling, I think, because I'm just so excited. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope that you're having a wonderful day. And I can't wait for the next video. I'm thinking it's going to be a very late first quarter recap. I have a lot of good books to share. And I hope that you're taking care of yourself, giving yourself love, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.